assembly drawings. I hope you enjoyed the last session we had together where we put all of our parts together and create an assembly drawing in SOLIDWORKS. This time we're going to take that assembly and create it into a full working drawing, specifically the working drawing of the exploded assembly. The exploded assemblies are to give further insight as to how the apparatus is to be assembled and put together. So let's go ahead and begin that process. In SOLIDWORKS we can use what's called the exploded view option in the top of our ribbon in the assembly, which is going to allow us to compose our exploded assembly prior to placing it into a working drawing. Let's begin. So we press on our button and we get our exploded view options. Relatively simple and straightforward. What we're going to do is deconstruct our assembly. So I'm going to adjust our view here slightly to give it a little bit better angle to viewing, and simply select an item. Now remember, these have all been mated together prior or joined together if you use an Inventor, and I'm still going to maintain those constrained mates, but in this case the exploded view oversees that, and I'm simply going to pull pieces apart to show how they go together. So I'm going to go grab, now I can do multiple pieces as well, so I do want to make sure I select carefully which item I'm using. In this case I want just the rack. And I probably want to undo that and do it a little differently. I'm going to also include in that the rack pad and move both of those in sync together so I can position them. Basically what I'm doing is I'm planning what the final composition of this exploded assembly is going to be before I get there. Now once that's in place, I'm going to now move the rack pad down so we can see how it aligns in there. I'm going to do the same thing here as I work through the table. I'm going to select both components of the table and the tail pin, and then move those up, and then I'm going to go ahead and take the table itself and move it forward. And actually I think I'm probably going to undo that as well and select them both into a different position, and again mainly to make it a little more visual as to how everything is assembled. Now if you remember correctly from our last session, the base was the first piece that we placed into our drawing, and we did that so that it would be permanently fixed. In the exploded view options, that is not the case. I can deconstruct that assembly as well and pull it apart to give it a little bit better understanding what's happening there. Let's go ahead and move on to the handle assembly here. So multiple assemblies within the assembly. I'm pulling the handle components apart slightly, and then going and taking the gear, and we'll take, whoops, we got to remember we got the gear has a couple of components to it. Pull that one apart there, and again making it so that it's easy to see how everything aligns together and what the relationships are with their component parts. And what I am attempting to do is get as little overlap with items as possible. So I'm going to pull this sleeve forward, and again I just want the sleeve. So I'm grabbing onto the icon, the colored icon, in this case the red one, which tells me the direction that movement's going to be taking. And there's one other item in there, if I can get to select that. Now I cannot see the screw that's on the opposite side here. However, I can use my floating tree and I can scroll down through all those options that are listed, and everything is listed there till I find that component, and I can select it by its name without selecting it itself. And again now I can pull the screw component out so I can see how that assembly works. This is the exploded view for this portion. At this point we're going to take a pause while you continue to put that together, and I'm going to go ahead and hit my green check mark here and lock that in, and this is your exploded view. If you would like to go ahead and save that, that'd be great. And again, it works on any of the assemblies that you're working on. And we'll be back in just a moment to do the next step in this process. So thank you.